Federal judge blocks Texas border barrier, and Abbott vows to defend state. In a recent legal development, a federal judge has ordered the state of Texas to dismantle the floating barriers it had installed in the Rio Grande River as part of its efforts to curb illegal immigration into the state. This directive came in response to a lawsuit filed by the Biden administration. To provide some context, earlier this summer, Texas Governor Greg Abbott initiated Operation Lone Star, a comprehensive state-level response to the ongoing border crisis exacerbated by President Biden's policies. The deployment of floating buoys in the Rio Grande River was one of the measures taken to secure the border. The statistics are staggering. In this particular border sector alone, approximately 270,000 illegal crossings were reported in 2023, marking it as the second highest sector for such incidents. Judge David Ezra of the district court rendered a verdict in favor of the Biden administration's lawsuit. He ordered Texas to remove the barriers by September 15 and further prohibited the state from implementing any similar structures in the future. Governor Abbott has made it clear that he intends to appeal this decision vigorously. He stated, Texas is rightfully stepping up to do the job that should have been done all along. This ruling is incorrect and will be overturned on appeal. However, some argue that there might be a more proactive solution to this ongoing border crisis. Governor Abbott could declare a state of invasion along the Texas-Mexico border, invoking the self-defense powers afforded to states under Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution when the federal government fails to protect them. This would empower Texas law enforcement to arrest and remove individuals crossing the border illegally. It's worth noting that this approach was proposed by the conservative nonprofit organization, the Center for Renewing America, and was a key aspect of Kari Lake's 2022 gubernatorial campaign in Arizona. Source: CBS News, Washington Examiner. There has been an update to this news. Note, this updates previous article titled, Federal Judge Blocks Texas Border Barrier and Abbott Vows to Defend State. Federal Appeals Court upholds the right for Texas to maintain Rio Grande barriers. In a significant development, the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals issued a temporary stay, permitting the state of Texas to retain its floating barriers in the Rio Grande. This decision comes after a lower court judge had previously ordered Texas to remove these barriers at its own expense by September 15. However, the panel's recent ruling temporarily suspends that order while the appeals court reviews the case, providing Texas with a reprieve from initiating the removal process. The swift response from the Fifth Circuit arrives on the heels of U.S. District Judge David Ezra's declaration that Republican Governor Greg Abbott needed explicit permission to install these barriers, as mandated by law. Judge Ezra's ruling was viewed as a victory for the Biden administration. In his ruling, Judge Ezra emphasized Governor Abbott announced that he was not asking for permission for Operation Lone Star, the anti-immigration program under which Texas constructed the floating barrier. Unfortunately for Texas, permission is exactly what federal law requires before installing obstructions in the nation's navigable waters. Additionally, the judge found Texas's assertion of self-defense, claiming that the barriers were necessary to address an invasion, to be unconvincing. The deployment of these controversial border buoys took place as part of Operation Lone Star, Governor Abbott's border security initiative. In response, the Justice Department filed a lawsuit against the state of Texas in U.S. District Court in the Western District of Texas, alleging that the buoys were installed unlawfully. The Justice Department sought a court order compelling the removal of these barriers. The lawsuit argued that Texas and Governor Abbott violated the Rivers and Harbors Appropriation Act by constructing structures in U.S. waters without obtaining permission from the United States Army Corps of Engineers. Governor Abbott, on the other hand, defended the buoys as a deterrent against migrants crossing into the state from Mexico. Texas maintained that it had constitutional authority to deploy the floating barriers. Judge Ezra at times requested that the state's attorneys focus on the buoys themselves and refrain from delving into broader issues like the presence of fentanyl and overall illegal immigration along the U.S. southern border. These recent ruling underscores the ongoing legal battle between Texas and the federal government over border security measures, particularly the deployment of these barriers in the Rio Grande. Source: CNN. These articles are brought to you by Go Right News and edited by Peter Boykin. Visit GoRightNews.com for more articles and visit PeterBoykin.com to learn more about Peter Boykin.